Good morning. Welcome to the Marion County Board of Commissioners meeting. It is Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. We're in the Senator hearing room here at Courthouse Square in Salem, Oregon. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we invite everyone to join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is the Chief Administrative Officer Awards, and John Latimer is here to give that award.
When I came here several years ago, I talked to the board about creating an enterprise approach to managing government. And that meant breaking down silo walls and getting departments to work together on projects as isolated units. And it seems to be working. So what I put together was the CAO Awards, Teamwork Awards, and we had some recipients here today. It was a great idea that came about to produce a Mid-Valley Rural Conference for local government, small units of local government in Marion County. And there was a conversation between Brandon Wright, looking forward to Brandon, oh there he is, and several staff in community services. And they developed this wonderful program to set up a conference that focused on small towns and how they bring their big ideas to life. And it really helped a lot of our local governments in Marion County develop economic development programs, and more than that, to revitalize their city. So this award is for those folks that put together this program and worked so hard, and it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, working with a lot of people to create this hands-on event. So it was a great collaboration between the Public Works Department and Community Services Department. So I have these awards, 3 of them for Brandon Wright. Krista Ong from Community Services and Spinks for Community Services. There's Sarah. So anyway, thank you very much for what you do for the county and working together. It really helps the county move forward in ways that we wouldn't be able to do by ourselves. So, thank you, Krista.
Oh my.
Sarah.
Don't let HP see that.
And last but not least, the test comes right down here.
Where's her award?
She's already been given.
Okay.
What do you?
Take this down.
Just read the first page, otherwise it's
So thank you all for bringing
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a comment, if I may. I got to attend that rural economic development workshop last year. It's been a year ago, I think, right? Was it last spring we did that? And the feedback that we received from, and I really stress this, we have the most incorporated cities of any county in Oregon, 20 of them, and you take out some of the big, take out Salem, Kaiser, Woodburn, and you can imagine they're pretty small cities. And we got tremendous feedback on that work. And Tom's in the audience. Now he's part of Marion County. He was one of the presenters at that meeting. And it was just a great workshop, and we got from city managers and all kinds of people, all the way up the canyon, just raved about that workshop and how it helped them and how they got motivated to go back and do things in their community. So I want to say thank you. A well-deserved award. It's hard to single out one particular thing that they've been doing, but that was a great event. And thank you very much.
Madam Chair, he explained it a lot better than I did. So,
Well, that's usual.
yeah, I know. So thank you all. I think it's a great program, and I hope all departments work together to do this kind of thing for our community.
All right, so now we are to the next item. Second presentation is Marion County Vision Awards, and I think we'll go down below to do that. You've got a microphone.
For you.
Well, I can't carry all that, so you're going to have to carry the microphone. I've got my hands.
What do you need?
I don't know. Might. So we have two Vision Awards this morning, and I understand one of them was already presented, is that right?
She has the certificate.
I see, okay.
Ceremony.
But not the ceremony, all right. So we're going to do the first one to the one that hasn't been presented yet, because I think it's a nice segue from what we just talked about. And do you want to read any of this?
Oh, you're in the chair.
Oh.
Go right ahead.
All right. So this Vision Award goes to a person for customer service, professionalism, integrity, and stewardship. So it said this person brought an idea to our department for a rural conference, coordinated cross-departmental planning meetings, participated in the Economic Development Advisory Board, and provided extensive research to develop an augmented growth rate projection for rural communities after the implementation of sewer services. None of these projects were required, but he was willing to use his capabilities to better the county and the services we provide to the public. This person is a consummate professional with an eye towards internal and external customer service in everything he does. In the community, when a constituent says they spoke with this person, I know they received the best possible answer and care. This is written by Danielle Gonzalez, by the way. This person demonstrates flexibility in all that he does and is always looking to minimize risk and maximize the potential rewards for the county. He's a great steward of taxpayer dollars, will offer his assistance on projects that are not even his own, is willing to take on hard topics and discussions to better the county. He is the best kind of public servant, and Danielle says she is glad that she gets the opportunity to work with him. And then also Krista, who was just up here, said he is inspiring, he is an excel coworker and partner, open to new ideas and humble. Marion County is lucky to have him. And Tom Hoke says, while I have only been with the county a short while, I can see this person is a good collaborator. Oh, and Tamara Getch says, fabulous partner, always willing to do whatever it takes for the good of the county. And Sarah Spink says, talks about bringing the idea of the rural conference, inspired and shaped the vision, instrumental in the inspiration behind it, took on a big role, out-of-the-box thinker, can-do attitude, solution-focused, customer service, professionalism, integrity, and stewardship. So for all these reasons, they nominated Brandon Wright for the Marion County Vision Award. So Brandon, if you want to congratulations.
All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. One more close up. 1, 2.
Thank you. One for me, please. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Very good. Do you want to, here, let me give you this so that you can cherish it, so that your coworkers think about you. All right, and so, oh, this is the version to read? Okay. Not the 4-page one?
I had short, 4 pages is more tame,
All right. So, encountering a variety of customers at the dog shelter, this person is always courteous, respectful, and understanding. She is quick thinking with creative solutions, resolving problems and concerns for customers and staff. Saturdays at the shelter can be high volume with a quick need to complete processing of adoptions by 5 p.m. This person is quick to understand balancing the adoption paperwork and requesting assistance with staff to meet everyone's needs. Has a great memory, recalls names of volunteers, always excited to see the dogs and their new owners. She is calm and collected when dealing with the upset people over a dog attack, a loose dog, or other emergencies, or with the upset, I guess it is. Able to prioritize multiple issues, follow procedures in a professional manner, honest, forthright, follows through with their actions, very patient, explaining details to staff, volunteers, and citizens, carefully explains procedures of adoptions, lost dogs, licenses, and infractions. One homeless woman was distraught that her camp was raided and her dog was brought to the shelter. This person listened calmly while she processed the file and noted the dog needed food and a blanket. She also provided a reduction on the impound fee. She is fair, creates a transparent environment for citizens seeking information, is able to clearly articulate the dog shelter's processes, ordinances, codes, and fees, has a great laugh, a sense of humor, which has assisted her in improving the quality of life of the citizens of Marion County. And she does this one person and one dog at a time. And she probably won't be surprised because she has the certificate, but everyone else will be, and that's Tiffany Wallace.
She's stuck in traffic.
Okay. Well, she can watch it on video, right? All right. You want to say anything?
No, just that we do appreciate what she gets.
Yeah.
I can do some things okay.
Next, we will move to our consent agenda, and I think it is Commissioner Brentano's turn.
The other guy was gone like for 16 months.
What, you think he does 2 in a row now, or
No.
Sure.
Oh, fine.
you want to?
It's up to him.
No,
It's
I
his
can-
turn.
I can
Okay.
handle it. Let's
But
stay
16 months gone, I mean, that's like a year and a half.
straight. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar this morning. On it, under Community Services, approve an order appointing Mike Adams as a key volunteer to the Marion County Fair Board. In Health, approve Amendment Number 2 to the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Health and Sciences University to add $64,250 and extend through September 30th, 2018. Public Works, approve Amendment Number 2 to the contract for services with Total Reclaim Incorporated to add $8,608.50 and change the contract termination date to February 28, 2018. Receive hearings officer's decision approving on remand conditional use case 17020 Brush Creek Solar LLC and Kloppenstein, Clerk's File 5735. And the Treasurer's Office approve an order distributing Oregon State Forestry timber revenues as per ORS 530.
And I'll second the motion.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion on any of them?
If we can improve them, we will.
Right. All in favor, say aye.
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 They're approved. Let me go back and just make 2 comments. First of all, I skipped right over public comment. We had 3 people that signed the list, but I think all 3 of you are with the proclamation later, right? So we don't need to have you come up in advance. Anyone else that came here to make public comment that didn't sign up? Going once, going twice. All right. Secondly, our second Vision Award just came in. You missed, fate would have it right after we got done. So why don't we go down?
Sure.
And could you make sure Jolene comes down so we can get pictures? Is she here? You want to just call her, or? Okay. So why don't we go down and,
I was going to try to text Jolene.
yeah, Christy went to get her.
All right. Is this yours, Janet? Janet, did you have a scarf? It was on the floor. Okay, it was on the floor. I just wanted-
Yeah. Yes, you did. Right. We read all kinds of nice things about you just a few minutes ago. You can watch the tape. Right, yeah. Congratulations and thank you for everything you do at the dog shelter. Okay, so now we will move to our action items. The first one under health is to consider approval of a proclamation designating the month of March as Intellectual and Developmental Disability Awareness Month in Marion County. Carissa Neufeld is here to present this item, and I think we have several other people. You want to come up? So it's Deborah Patterson, Corey Milky, Sophia or Sophia? Sophia?
Sit right.
Do you need to read this by title twice? Do you need to read this by title twice? No.
Good morning.
No. Just
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today and ask you to consider a proclamation declaring March the Developmental Disability Awareness Month. We believe that it is incredibly important to bring awareness to our community about the individuals who experience developmental disabilities and their families, and the support that our community can provide in embracing those individuals and their families in our community. As you are aware, Marion County provides developmental disability services to approximately 2,700 individuals throughout Marion County. About 900 of those individuals are children and about 1,800 are adults. So those are the known individuals we have in our community, but as you can imagine, there are many more individuals who live in our community and do not necessarily receive services from us. So today, I have a few guests with us today. I've brought Deb Patterson, who you may already know. She is the chair of our Intellectual and Developmental Disability Advisory Committee. And Sophia Patterson, her daughter.
Sophia Patterson, guys.
And she's come today to share a little bit about her work experience here in our community. And then I also have Corey Milky, who is a parent of a child who experiences intellectual and developmental disabilities, and also works for FACT Oregon, Families and Community Together. And so I've invited both of them to, or all of them, to speak a little bit about their experiences here.
Commissioners Carlson, Cameron, and Brentano, thank you so, and Mr. Latimer, thank you so much for all that you do for people with developmental disabilities. Commissioner Carlson and Commissioner Brentano, a couple years ago you invited me to join you and several others on a TV show where I told the story that did not end so well, not about the Marion County Dog Shelter, but about a different one in town. And I am happy to tell you that we have a story that ends very well indeed. And Sophie's going to tell you about her work that she does at the YMCA just around the corner. So Sophie, can you say your name?
Hi, I'm Sophia Christina Patterson.
And how old are you?
I am 22 years old.
And what is your work?
My work is YMCA.
What do you do there?
Okay, I open books.
Oh, you're a teacher.
No, I'm the teacher's helper. So I read books to the kids
And you take them
for walks
with the other teachers,
with
right?
other teachers on a walk in this beautiful weather. And my other activity, is like I teach kids telling time.
And help them with nap time and snacks, right?
Yeah, helping
Yeah.
with nap time and snacks.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Sophie works about 22 hours a week there, 4 days a week. And so we're really grateful to the YMCA for their vision and inclusivity with people with developmental disabilities and other disabilities to be part of their recreational programs, but also be part of their staff in capacities that they are able to accommodate. So thank you for your vision and leadership in this as well. And also thank you to the Health Department and Marion County DD Services. They do a wonderful job.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Corey Milkey. I'm a parent of 5 children, 2 of which experience developmental disabilities. I'm also the program coordinator for FACT Oregon, Oregon's statewide parent training and information center. As a program coordinator, my role is to present free trainings and workshops to professionals and parents of children experiencing developmental disabilities and navigating special education services and other service systems like developmental disabilities. I also spend 1 day a week talking with families on our support line where families can ask questions about their unique needs and get support to live a whole life in their community. I wanted to start out by telling you I didn't always have this knowledge. I've gained it along the way being a parent. When my son started school, we needed to start the IEP process, and I had no idea what to expect or what my role was. I spent many days on the phone with FACT support specialists talking about dreaming big dreams, having high expectations, and what my role would look like throughout the process. Families, empowering families, and I'm glad that I can be the calming voice during that time. During this time, we were also beginning to access developmental disability services where we were provided much needed support. We were able to work with a behavior specialist who helped us establish visual schedules, create boundaries, and help teach us how we can support our children. We were also able to attend a paid-for training by Developmental Disability Services, which helped my partner and I learn how to better understand our son's disability. This is something we would not have been able to attend without the help of Developmental Disability Services, and this training was crucial to our family's growth. And after implementing what we learned, our son said, "Wow, I finally feel like I belong, and I'm a part of the family." We started looking at how we would access community, and I have to tell you, I can't count the number of therapies, appointments, doctor appointments, IEP meetings, and developmental disability appointments I have attended during the last 6 years. I can, however, recall the number of times we've ventured into our community, and it is much, much less. It isn't that formal services and early interventions aren't important, but those systems, they're ready for families like mine to come in and get help. Community for us takes much more planning. For a family, it means a social story about the new place or food. It means picking time when the sun won't be too bright or the wind isn't too breezy. It means looking for the least crowded time to go out as not to disturb many people with our daughters stemming. Sometimes as parents, we find that we self-isolate. For our family, we're going to keep trying, and I'm really happy to say this last weekend, we spent a full day at Donatello's Pizza, also playing in the arcade, and that was a great community experience for us. We were a family being a family. As you make this proclamation for March 2018 Developmental Disability Awareness Month, I want to thank you and the community to continue to share a vision where individuals who experience disability are meaningful employed, are invited and welcome to community events, and have access to the supports and services focused on the individual's choice. And our family is finding that success here. So thank you for your continued leadership in creating a welcoming community for our families. Thank you.
Thank you. We had also hoped to have a provider as well, but she was impacted by the flu this morning, so she wasn't able to attend. But she did want me to relay that her name is Maxine Armstrong, and she's been a provider in our community for the last 25 years. She still actually has one of the individuals that was originally placed with her almost 25 years ago. She's now a 24-hour provider and serving individuals with more significant medical needs. But one of the things she wanted to convey was that over the 25 years that she's been providing services, she's seen a remarkable transformation and evolution of how we support individuals who experience disability in our community. And although she is very appreciative of the Awareness Month, she hopes that this will be just another step towards bringing greater awareness to our community, and that businesses and law enforcement and our medical professionals and et cetera in our community continue to learn and understand more about what it means to experience a developmental disability, and how the community can continue to embrace and, as Corey mentioned, create a more of an inclusive environment. So she thanks you as well for your consideration of this proclamation.
Thank you very much. So can you tell us a little bit about what you all are doing to celebrate this month?
Yes.
Or next month, I guess it is, because we're declaring March the month, right?
Yes, there'll be banners placed at the Liberty Parkade first week of March, and then at the end of March, so we kind of bookended it there. We also are hoping to be able to have an article. Unfortunately, just because of the timing, it won't be until April, but we hope to have an article in the Salem Business Journal promoting a story about individuals working in our community. And then we're also hoping to be able to have some public service announcements throughout the month of March, just reminding folks about the month. And then we'll have some posters, as we did last year in the courthouse square as well. So, and if we have the ability, we understand that the holding court has disbanded, at least in its more public forum, and we're looking to be able to submit something for the Statesman Journal as well.
That's great. And I think I saw Jolene might have you on a radio show or two, possibly.
I think that was more the public service announcement
Okay.
component. And then we, as we've had the last few years, we'll also be having a developmental disability support services fair in April, which will be right after, so we'll be promoting that.
Excellent. Questions or comments?
Well, we were looking at each other, but, I don't know where to go. And I do this every year, talk about a granddaughter that fits into what you're talking about, and she's doing very well. But when I hear a story of somebody that's dealing with two, I know what that means. And yeah, good for you. Anyway, and you're delightful. I wish you could come and teach me to tell time. The only number I know is 5 o'clock. But it was nice meeting you. But I do appreciate all that's done. I see 2,700 we'll read in Marion County. That's 1 in 150 or so. So it's pretty prevalent, and that we do special here, I'm pleased.
Yeah, I just want to thank Deb and Sophia and for being here today and sharing your story and how important it is to what we do and how important it is for what you do at the Y, and Corey for your leadership in the FACT group as well. So thank you very much. And to our people in our health department and the people that are out there on the front line providing the services that aren't here with us today, I just want to say thank you. And we all three really appreciate the services that take place and on a day-to-day basis that we don't even get to hear about. But we know it's needed and appreciated. So thank you.
Well, I just let
Okay.
me make a comment first, and then we can do the motion. So I also want to thank you all for coming. Sophia, thank you for sharing what you do. Right? And Corey, thank you for your stories as well. It's important for people to understand the great value that every life has.
Yes.
And that none of us can know as we go through life what's going to happen to us. So we're all at different places at different times in our lives, and I think it's critical that we support people where they're at every point in their life. And I think that's what our department does, that's what they believe, that's what they support. And I think making people aware of that is really important. I think we've lost sight of that as a nation, and it makes me sad that we have. Every year I tell the story about my grandson, Brock, and he is 9 now, but he is just such a joy, and he's a reader. He loves to read, loves books, and he's a wonderful little boy. And my daughter has become such an advocate for children and adults with developmental disabilities and has taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot to be around Brock and to learn who he is and what his gifts are and how he communicates. I remember when we went to OHSU and the speech therapist there, he wasn't speaking. He didn't speak till he was 7, and we didn't know if he would ever speak. He has Down syndrome, but he also has autism. And she said, does he communicate? And my initial thought was no, he doesn't communicate because he wasn't speaking. But then as she started talking to me, I realized he was communicating all over the place, and he still does not, even though he can speak, he doesn't use that as his first choice. His first choice is to, if he wants me to sit on the ground, he just yanks my arm and asks me to sit on the ground. Or if he wants something, he'll put he'll pull my arm up over my head towards the direction of the thing that he wants, and I'm like that. But he's a very strong communicator, and he's learned over the years to get exactly what he wants pretty much all of the time. So everybody has differences, and it's important that we value that. So thank you for being here and for the work that you do. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve a proclamation designating the month of March as Intellectual and Developmental Disability Awareness Month in Marion County.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this proclamation. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it's approved. And we have, we're going to give them both of these copies then? Just one of the copies, all right.
Did it get changed at the bottom? Yeah, it did. Okay,
Yeah, that's what we were working on.
thank you.
All right, so,
Good catch.
so what we'll do first is we'll read the proclamation so everyone can hear what's in it, and then we'll go ahead and sign this one and give it to you before you go, if that's what you would like. So I don't know who it goes to. Does it go to the health department, or does it go, and it can go then back to your, the committee that meets? That would be great. All right, so let's see. How about if we have the first vice chair start with this?
Thank you. Before the Board of Commissioners for Marion County, Oregon, in the matter of proclaiming the month of March 2018 Intellectual and Developmental Disability Awareness Month in Marion County. The proclamation reads, this matter came before the Marion County Board of Commissioners at its regular scheduled meeting on February 21st, 2018, whereas no fewer than 27 residents of Marion County live with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and whereas Marion County is committed to work towards service options to assure that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the opportunity to live fulfilling and meaningful lives. And
Whereas Marion County strives to support choices of individuals with intellectual and developmental disability and their families by promoting and providing services that are person-centered, person-directed, flexible, and community-inclusive, and whereas Marion County supports the discovery and development of the unique gifts, talents, and abilities of each individual with intellectual and developmental disability, and
whereas Marion County believes work is a fundamental part of life, and therefore individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities should be included in opportunities to participate in the local workforce, and whereas Marion County seeks to advance social and policy change so that individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, their families, and their communities may live, work, play, and learn together. Now therefore it is hereby proclaimed that the month of March 2018 is Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Awareness Week in Marion County, and this is dated today, the 21st of February 2018. So we'll go ahead and sign these. Computers don't give us very much room, do they? Second one. Take this down. Let's see. Okay. All right, it's signed, so thank you again, and we appreciate all that you do for these many wonderful people that are in our community. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Just so I know, they mentioned the term IAP. Would you remind me what that is? It's a plan.
Individualized Education Plan, so,
IEP?
IEP, right, yeah. So every child is required to have one if they're diagnosed with a developmental disability. But you know what? My belief when I was a teacher is that every child ought to be on an IEP, not just children with disabilities, because everybody's unique. So much for my editorial comment. All right, the next item is to consider approval of the proposed amendments. Oh, this is going to be from the sublime to the more mundane Intellectual and Developmental Disability Advisory Committee bylaws, and we have Carissa Neufeld. Although we all know bylaws are very, very important, right?
Yes, thank you. So, as required by the bylaws for the Intellectual and Developmental Disability Advisory Committee, the committee has performed its 3-year review of the bylaws and updated them. The changes included in the proposed amendments include the Health Advisory Board, recognition of the Health Advisory Board and their role as it relates to the IDDAC, and also includes a recommendation from the committee to have committee members review any potential conflicts of interest, and removes language that was related to when the committee was first initiated, so in terms of it being established. So it just updated it in that fashion.
Okay, so can you point out what specific, okay, so I'm looking at the mission, and it talks about that it's a volunteer committee in an advisory capacity, to the Health Advisory Board, so that's new?
I'm sorry, it is number 9 officers, or excuse me, number 10 standing committees under appointments. There's some, at least in my version that I had submitted, there's some underlying text which includes an appointment that the IDDAC currently is able to authorize the chair to appoint members to standing committees, and then a second little I, the chair will recommend for consideration to the Health Department Administrator for IDDAC members to sit on the Health Advisory Board. So there had been some requests by the Health Advisory Board that we have a representative on the board, and our bylaws simply didn't recognize how that appointment
So
would
is
happen.
that the only change? That's-
No, then.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering if you could just walk through,
Oh, okay.
because we don't have a red line copy in our
Oh,
packet.
okay.
All we have is the final one, so we can't see what's new and what's not new.
Oh,
So
I apologize. So there were very few minor changes, as I mentioned. The changes really were in recognition of the inclusion of the Health Advisory Board and the conflict of interest. So on number 12, conflicts of interest.
So that's the first change?
Sorry. The first change is related to, let's see,
If you could just give us the number first and then tell us what it's
Okay.
about, that would be great.
is number 9,
Okay.
or excuse me, number 10, I'm sorry, the standing committee, which is
The one you just read.
the one I just read.
Okay.
The second change is conflicts of interest, number 12. And it is the second sentence, which states now, IDDAC members must review potential or actual conflicts of interest at minimum annually from date of appointment. And then the final change is number 13 under amendments to bylaws, which is the last sentence. Bylaws will be submitted to the Health Department Administrator and the Health Advisory Board by the committee chair every 3 years for review and approval.
Just catching up to you here. Sorry. Yeah, you can, it would be better if you would say that in the microphone so everybody knows what you're talking about, rather than just to me.
So it looks like the 3 changes start on page 6, section 10A, subsection I, and I2 are new. And then on paragraph 7, paragraph 12A, the sentence starting IDDAC members, that sentence is added. And then on page 8, 13A, the Health Advisory Board language has been added. So those, I believe, are the 3 amendments to the bylaws.
Okay, and then I just found 4 little things when I was going through that. And so they're really just technical errors, so John would probably say we could do them no matter what. We don't have to do them by motion. But under 5A appointment, the second paragraph says the DD Advisory Committee rather than the IDD Advisory Committee, so I would think that would need to be corrected, right?
Yes.
And then under 5D, under attendance, in the third line, it says, if a member, second line starts, if a member fails to attend 3 meetings in succession without cause, that position, it should be maybe, should be separated as 2 words declared instead of maybe. And then 8D, IDAC meetings are generally held at the, and then it has the address, so it should say the offices at Lancaster Drive Northeast or something to make the sentence read better. And I'm wondering, because they aren't going to be there very long, whether you should have the address or whether you should just say at the offices of the health department or something, rather than putting an address in there. So can we make that change conceptually right now, and then you don't have to come back?
Be great.
And then the last one, I think we have an item here to change the name of the health department shortly, so I'm wondering if we just want to like put conceptually in that since the health department's name is going to change, that by osmosis, we're going to change it throughout this where it says health department, it will say, don't want to jump the gun, but you talked about it yesterday in public, so it'd be Health and Human Services Department if Sam's willing to go there.
Fine.
All right, so I found that in, towards the end here, well, under distribution, the health department will make any required divisions. It was, and it talks about the health department administrator and so on, so you can make those changes too. So we'll just assume that all of those changes are made in the motion that
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Brentano is going to make.
All right, and are you ready for that?
Yes.
I would make a motion, we do approve the proposed amendments to the Intellectual Developmental Disabilities Advisory Committee bylaws with the changes just noted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the bylaws with the changes, the substantive changes that were presented, and also the technical changes that we just discussed. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All right, they're approved. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Last item, consider approval of a resolution reorganizing the Marion County Health Department and changing the name to the Marion County Health and Human, well, there it is, Health and Human Services Department. And we have Ryan Matthews and Carrie Moeller, Cynthia Granatier. Debbie Gregg is named. Are you coming up, Debbie, or? Only as necessary. She's there for moral support. So who would like to start? Carrie?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Carrie Moeller. I'm the administrator of the Marion County Health and Human Services, possibly Health Department. Thank you for having us this morning. Today represents a significant point in time for Marion County Health Department, and I'm very excited about the work that we've been doing. It sort of feels like a long time coming, and there have been a lot of behind-the-scenes work that's had to happen to consider reorganization and a name change. So the health department has had the benefit of some extensive external reviews. More than a year ago, we had consultants come at the direction of the board, as you'll remember, to do a 360 review of the health department. The culmination of that review ended in a 96-page report, which we are carefully, methodically, and strategically going through. One of the initial recommendations of the report was a strategic plan, which we're also in the middle of right now. And I think with feedback from the report, my appointment as administrator, some great work from the department, and a strategic plan, the consideration for the reorganization and the rename of the department is very timely. As Ryan will tell you, there's it's a budget neutral change really, but really my interest was language is very important to me, and the health department in its long and well-regarded history here in this community has provided and continues to provide some really exceptional medical services, health services. But there is, as you heard this morning, a significant amount of work that we do in the health department that takes on a different meaning. We have a different place and a different role in people's lives. Besides the health services that we provide, we also have a very personal, human component of the services that we do. Some would call it social service as well, but that's our pointedly our developmental disabilities program, which is part of the human service array of services that we provide, as well as some residential community support services. So my interest all along has been to recognize the full scope of work that we do, and I think it speaks better to our work in a recognition and a name change of Health and Human Services. I would be remiss, and if you'll indulge me a minute, I do want to acknowledge the people in not only the health department, but the county as a whole that were very responsible and put in a lot of time for this change. So at Ryan's leadership at the Health and Human Services Department, we had our contracts team, Dwight and Linda, and I'm just going to shorten these by first names. So apologize for that. Our accounting department, Jeremiah, who's our manager there, Jen and Kaylin. And that was, and a significant piece of the work did happen at the health department, but there's also a long list of people at the county. Our HR department, under Colleen's leadership, Brenda Phillips and Justine Flores. Scott Emery, his support at IT. There were 4 specific individuals who are central to this work. Alongo, Julie, Eric Reed, Eric Hendricks, and Saffron? Sachin, oh sorry, can't read my handwriting. At the board's office, Cindy Johnson, Lori Steele, the treasurer, and Cynthia under Jeff's White's leadership. So I had no idea when I was originally conceptualizing this, the impact that it would have on the department, and I want to appreciate and thank you for your support in this.
Great. So in your packet, you should have a document that sort of crosswalks over and to orient you to sort of the before and after. So I don't want to get into a lot of the details. I think the main important takeaway here, as Carrie mentioned, is the bottom line crosswalk is that our FTE and our overall budget is not changing. That means that although this is a reorganization, it's a reorganization of how we display our programs and services. We are not eliminating any services or making any substantive changes to the array of services that the department provides. The sort of at the very highest level, there used to be a community, or at least currently, there's a community and provider services division, and that division is one that we were proposing to eliminate in this as we move over into this new structure. That is because that program really largely fits into one of 2 categories. A portion of it is a behavioral health service, things like our high fidelity wraparound services to kids and peer wellness services. And then they also have a human services component of residential support and adult abuse investigations and some of those kind of non-behavioral health services that previously in our structure didn't have a great place to fit. So and the other significant change is in behavioral health. That is where our developmental disabilities program resides. I mean, we just heard a presentation of all the great work that program does, but that really fits more as a human service, which is sort of how it's classified at the state and federal levels as well. So in the new structure, our proposal is to create that human services division, which would house the developmental disabilities program as well as some of those CAP services that didn't fit cleanly in a behavioral health division. So I think in general, I think that this portrays the department a little more accurately in terms of how we receive our funding. I think that's the other sort of benefit at the state level. We receive human services funding from DHS, and we receive our behavioral health and public health funding from Oregon Health Authority. Those are our 2 primary contractors, and this new structure sort of aligns with kind of how we're funded. So I know Cynthia had some comments about how to actually make this structure work within the county system.
Good morning. So we've had a multi-departmental project team, as Carrie mentioned, who have been working on identifying the tasks needed to implement this reorganization in our accounting system and other systems that interface with that. So we've got a project plan outlined, and in order to make these changes effective for the current fiscal year 17-18, that will take several weeks to work through the different changes. Some of the timing is dependent on our payroll processing calendar. So the project team is set to get started on implementing those changes over the next few weeks in order to approve the changes that are needed at the budget level. We've come up with we have these recommendations for the board to approve: the department name change, the fund name change, and the reorganization and reallocation of resources and personnel among the different divisions and programs of the reorganized department.
Well, thank you. We had this presentation yesterday at our Budget Committee meeting, but it's good because this is where we're making the decision to have all of the information again. And we don't know who's watching on Facebook Live, so we could be letting the public know as well. And CCTV, I don't want to eliminate them as a source of community information. So, questions? Any questions by the board?
No.
No, we saw it yesterday, and looking at the budget, it's the same budget. It's a little more complicated than just looking at the budget, but thank you for your hard work on doing this, and all the thought that's gone into this, and Carrie, your leadership is making a difference, so thank you.
Thank you.
So I think it's a great idea, and I really like it because, and this is where you'll
All right, I'm
have
just
to listen
listening.
to my point of view here, and because we just did this resolution today too, and the bylaws, I don't see human services as being a negative. I think human services is different than health. When people think of health, at least when I always think of health, I think of more primary health care. That's the way my brain was always taught. I think of going to the doctor, I think of getting shots, I think of prevention, I think of nurses. I don't think of developmental disabilities, which human services connects. Healthcare is obviously connected to human services, but there is much more of a holistic kind of approach in terms of dealing with a lot of aspects, what they call them the social determinants of health, right? So things like people's housing and their ability, their transportation and work and all of the things that we talked about. And so developmental disabilities has been put under the umbrella of mental health for many years, and it's been that way at Association of Oregon Counties too. And so it is so under-discussed, you know what I mean? I mean, it just kind of is buried underneath mental health because mental health is so tragic, encompassing, overwhelming. You know, we see the negative impacts of people that suffer from mental illness in the community and are, you know, kind of pushed to deal with the urgency of it, where developmental disability just kind of rolls along. You know, I mean, people need the services, but it doesn't, unless there's some big incident, you just don't hear about it. So I think by pulling it out and having Health and Human Services, it highlights it and augments it in a way that it hasn't been in the past. That's my feeling. So I really like the idea, and I think it's very positive, and I'm very supportive of it.
Thank you.
Does that work for you?
Well, I didn't say I was right yesterday. I said I just wanted to discuss it. I'm convinced. Thank you.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
I'm not. Could you keep going? So, Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve a resolution reorganizing Marion County Health Department and changing the name to Marion County Health and Human Services Department.
And I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reorganize the health department. It just seems so just minimal with one line. Yeah, we're reorganizing, but I know it's been a lot of work for you from an accounting standpoint and from a budgeting standpoint, and the timing of it is good now for us to do this as we approach the new budget. So, and changing the name, of course. So any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 It is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Cynthia.
All right, so that concludes our action items. We don't have any public hearings scheduled for this morning. I will go ahead and read our Wednesday to Wednesday calendar. These are meetings where 2 or 3 commissioners will be present. I always say that because there are a million other meetings on our calendars where 1 commissioner will be present that we don't have on this list. So we're just concluding our board session here at the Senator Hearing Room. It is still Wednesday, February 21st. At noon, the commissioners will be out at the Mount Angel Library on 290 East Charles Street in Mount Angel for our County Community Forum with the Mount Angel Chamber of Commerce. On Thursday, February 22nd, is the lead work group meeting at 1:30 in the Silverton Conference Room. That's on the 4th floor here at Courthouse Square. That'll be followed at 4 o'clock by a pre-trial planning meeting in the Commissioners' Boardroom, also on the 5th floor of Courthouse Square. Then Monday, February 26th at 8:30 a.m., we have the Commissioners' Calendar Review in the Silverton Conference Room, followed at 9 by a management update in the Silverton Conference Room, followed at 11 by a BOC CAO meeting, that's the Board of Commissioners Chief Administrative Officer and Deputy Administrative Officer meeting together, an executive session if needed in the Silverton Conference Room. And then at 1:30, a special meeting in the Silverton Conference Room on Brooks sewer rates. February 27th, Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. is a meeting of the Community Corrections Board in the Silverton Conference Room, followed at 10:15 by a regular board meeting of the Marion County Housing Authority in the Silverton Conference Room, followed at 10:30 by an executive session pursuant to ORS 192-662H, and that's noticed at 10:30 or immediately following the Housing Authority Board meeting, and it's in the Silverton Conference Room. Then we'll have at noon the Public Safety Coordinating Council Steering Committee in the Silverton Conference Room. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over. February 28th, Wednesday, 1 week from today at 7:30 in the morning is a SEDCOR Agriculture Breakfast at the Fest Hall Room in Mount Angel. And that would be followed by our regular Wednesday board session at 9 o'clock, right back here in the Senator Hearing Room at Courthouse Square in lovely Salem, Oregon.
Two things. I was hoping we could change the time to give time to come back, but from Mount Angel for a board meeting.
Oh, okay.
So maybe look at that. And no one else is taking the tour today
I'm
of
taking
gym
the tour.
equipment? Well, that wasn't
well-
mentioned here. Is that just part of, under the Mount Angel?
It's under the Mount Angel, so we're going to Mount Angel, and then we're going to have lunch together, and then we're going to tour gym equipment. So all
Okay.
of that is listed under that one appointment, and it
All right.
goes till, it says 2 o'clock, but they've actually expanded it.
I think
till
I am
2:30.
able, yeah, because I was looking, I had French Prairie, but I'm not going up to French Prairie. So that was at 2 o'clock.
Is
So
that
I'm
a
not,
protest deal, or what do you say?
He doesn't want to say that
All right, fine, never mind.
and it's not a protest.
All right.
Just the way things work.
It's just, somebody else needs to be there more than I do this time.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, so we
So I'll join you.
did our State of the County last week, and thought it went pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
yeah.
were on fire.
On fire. No, I
Yes, you
wasn't.
were, yeah.
I held,
Yep.
I think I told you this, so we get like 10 minutes. So I had it all written out the way I wanted to go, and then did it on my chair, and it was 19 minutes. Oh, what do I cut? I left the heart of it. I'm taking it down too far, but I was happy with it.
It was good. I think all of us came across with our different areas, and feedback I got was that people there enjoyed it, but you really warmed them up, I do have to say, so that was great.
You gonna tell the rest of the story? I was gonna use that. I'll tell it now.
What's
I
the
may
rest
use
of the
it
story?
another. Well, Commissioner said that I was like the warm-up act at a band.
Who said that?
She did.
I did
Yeah,
not
we're just supposed
say
to get
that.
everybody warmed up, and
I did not say that.
I was kind of insulted
You're
at first,
lying.
but no, you said exactly
No,
that.
I did not. You're a liar.
Anyway, so I felt kind of insulted at first, and then I got to think about it. Well, that warm-up band, nobody expects much of them, and sometimes they're pretty good. That's what I was going to start.
Stories. You're telling stories.
No, it
Well,
happened,
yes,
just
yeah.
exactly as I said.
I was in
Fiction.
Nashville one time, and the warm-up band for Hank Williams Jr. Was Colt Ford, and I liked him more than Hank Williams Jr. Yeah.
See?
So the warm-up
Nobody knows
act
who
for
Colt
the-
Ford is.
The warm-up act for the Carpenters, when we saw them at BYU,
Oh, my
when I was
gosh.
there back in the 70s, was Steve Martin.
Oh, really?
And no one had heard
It-
of Steve Martin, and he did his thing with the
With the
arrow
arrow.
and his banjo, and we were like, this guy is really
That's
funny.
hilarious.
He's got a lot of music with was it Erin? What's her name? I've got some of my iTunes. He's really a talented musician. That's really
Yeah,
good.
he really is.
Yeah.
And he
Wild-
probably a month or two later, all of a sudden,
He
he was
broke
on
out.
Saturday Night Live, and he just, blew up across the screen, and everybody was like, wow, and I saw him with the Carpenters. So it was pretty cool.
Wild,
So see,
crazy guy.
warm-up act can be
can
the
you-
best part of
Can
the
you
evening.
can you hum us a song by the Carpenters?
Oh, I could sing you songs by the Carpenters, and I've got the karaoke tapes to
Oh,
go
isn't
along
it
with
only
it,
just
so-
begun? Isn't that one of theirs?
Well, I think
Yeah,
we're
right.
done. Can we?
Well, so I went to the Earthwise lunch yesterday.
Oh,
I was hoping you would have been there. We had a lot of our
really?
public works people
You
there.
thought of me in particular.
Electric cars. And,
I want one.
Climate change, right? No?
No, they didn't focus on that too much. just about what's happening with autonomous cars. Is that how you say it?
Good.
I get the auxiliary dwelling units
Self-driving
backwards,
cars?
yeah. Yeah, self-driving cars and cars that you would actually, the loaner program or the rental program, in downtowns and stuff. There was a little bit of that there, but they did their awards instead of doing the evening thing. I really liked the presentation lunch. My salad was an imitation chicken, but it was tofu.
Imitation chicken?
It was tofu, tofu salad.
probably wouldn't eat
I
it.
ordered the vegetarian option. I wanted,
did
it
you?
was good,
All
actually.
right.
And then you and I went to the economic forum yesterday. I thought that was very informative and what's going on in our local economy. It was interesting that there's office space available, but industrial building, the one that struck me, Sam, was we need industrial property, but the construction costs, he said, had gone up 50% in 2 years or
That
something
made me
like that.
think of that as we're working on juvenile, that we should have wrapped it up 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, and then our EDAB meeting last Wednesday, going over the strategic plan and getting their feedback and input, and was informative, so it was a good week. It was a long
I'm
week.
repeating, but just so everybody hears it, they've talked about 40 to 50% higher construction costs than
Right.
just a couple of years ago.
Right,
You know,
that's
so
what I was saying.
Here we go. Oh, and retail, we kind of knew that, but boy, that was a bleak sector.
Nordstrom's leaving.
Well, just all of it, and you mentioned Sears a couple times.
But there's companies coming in, like Hobby Lobby, that what they've done it over at what do they call in the Lancaster Mall now? It's the Willamette Valley Mall, or so they've changed the name
Right,
of
they
it.
have it. Every time I see it
And-
on Google, I was like, where is that?
And there's people coming in there, there's retail operations coming in. Talked about Amazon having retail operations. I don't know where the employees are gonna come from in the next 2 years. We have to have a lot more influx, but we don't have the
We
housing.
should go back to work. We could help.
Oh, you mean as an employee?
Yes.
Somewhere?
I could drive a truck still.
I could do that, drive a bus
All right.
in the morning. Okay, I don't wanna drive a bus.
Well, we had, if you just want to, because you all were talking about what you did yesterday, we had a System of Care Executive Committee meeting in the morning at 7:30, and then met with the PACE team about communications, and then the Health Department had their strategic planning session, so John and Jen and I were there
Good.
to gather information with a whole lot of community people about what direction they want the Health Department to go, and then spent an hour and a half on Marion County Reentry Initiative. So I appreciate you all going to those so that I could go to this.
So
Yeah.
about coordinated care, what was the subject there? I thought maybe there was something key. Was there just another meeting?
On the what?
Well, the first one you
The
mentioned. I think
System of
it's-
Care?
Yes.
So System of Care is actually a group of people that, it's a committee, it's required under the contract with the Oregon Health Authority, with the Coordinated Care Organization, but it's designed to bring together the people that work with very high-risk youth who have complex needs. So we have the sheriff comes, Troy Gregg was there from the juvenile department, Cheryl Pellegrini, the juvenile court judge, Carrie Moeller from the health department, and then we have, I don't want to name all the folks,
Sure.
but there's a lot of county people there in addition to providers and other folks that are involved with Behavioral Care Network and mental health and so on. And DHS also participates, the Department of Human
Is
Services,
there a
because of
special
child welfare.
subject, though, or
Well,
concern?
this was actually the group that formulated the youth crisis service that we created out at the health department, so that when families need someone to call in the evening or on weekends, or just, when they need something, when their child who has mental health issues is out of control and they don't know what to do, they can get phone advice, or a team can come out and help them. And so that was, actually Cindy Becker deserves a great deal of credit, because we had some proposals that came from the groups that work underneath it, and they were asking for residential beds. Residential beds are very expensive. And so we kind of backed up and said, well, where's the gap, and what does the whole system need to look like? And Cindy said, would you like me to put a group together and figure it out? And we said, sure. And so then she brought back this proposal, and it ended up being this youth crisis service. But yesterday, we had some committee reports and that type of thing, and then we spent the last hour talking about suicide prevention. So we got to hear what Polk County and Marion County are both doing around that. Marion County Health Department, folks that are involved with suicide prevention, where there have been, I think, 3 youth suicides, they said, in the past 2 weeks.
In Silverton, I
Yeah,
don't know the story.
Silverton,
I keep seeing the
there was,
headline.
and then there was the young man with the Center Street overpass, I
yes.
think he was 19. And the
Sad.
one other one, I can't remember where that one was. So, and they, the health department gave a report, I didn't bring the statistics, but they've had just this year over 300 people that they have done suicide assessments on. So when you see, they talk about completed suicides was the language that they used. There's also attempted suicides or people that are talking about it and that they need to intervene with. So all the work that's going on to try to ward that off and to make staff, teachers, counselors, other people aware of what to look for. And when someone is presenting symptoms or talking or posting things on Facebook, to be able to understand what that means and to know when to intervene. So it was really fascinating. They have a video that they've created in Polk County at one of the high schools there that they've shown to the entire school. And they've got little cards that they've printed that just says, you're not alone, and here's who you can call if you want to talk to someone. And
Is that at West Salem by any chance? Because we had the presentation hands and the young woman wanted to start a program doing that.
I think it was out at Central that they
Okay.
had done that, but or Dallas. Remember one of the two.
Okay.
So anyway, that's what we talked about yesterday.
And I just realized this is Jane's first meeting, right?
Second meeting.
Second meeting, that's what we
I'm a
appointed you.
veteran.
We appointed you last week.
Yeah, last week
But
she
I
was a
used
duck, and
I used
we
a
talked about
acronym, EDAB, right? And, Economic Development Advisory Board. I gotta make sure that I,
Yeah, our health department was really guilty of that in the
Lot of
system of care
acronyms.
meeting yesterday morning. They were throwing around acronyms, and finally I said, all right,
I'll-
we're gonna fine you, and you already owe $5.
I spent a lot of time last night going through the agenda and all the documents, and I did spend a lot of time looking up acronyms. So
Yeah.
I'm getting up to speed on those.
Right,
Well,
well, we need to actually reverse it so that, because not everybody in the public gets up to speed on them, and we shouldn't
Right.
expect that. So our departments need to speak in a way that everybody can understand it.
in the public. And thank you for going down and helping.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't catch
staff,
that
yeah.
sooner. Actually, I knew there wasn't a red line version, and I was thinking we needed to see one.
Right.
And so,
Yeah,
next time,
I-
I'll be on the lookout for that.
You're right, and I think, Christy, I mean, if they don't provide a red line version, then we need you to ask for one, because it's just easier for us to be able to see what's different. So I'll put you on the watchdog role for that, so that we can make sure that in the future we have that. All right, anything else?
One about
See you in Mount Angel. Did you still need a ride?
Are you coming back here?
Yeah.
All right, I would
Eventually.
love a ride,
After
because
the
I
tour.
don't want to drive my
Yeah.
mom's car.
I just wanted to mention, not to be a commercial or anything, but I'm kind of excited about it. It's interesting, it's a horrible part of human history, but Anne Frank's stepsister
Yes.
and Chuck Bennett, Mayor of Salem's going to be interviewing her, so my daughter and I are going to come in. Those stories, they shouldn't be swept under, and you hear people denying them and that
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of thing.
Never happened.
And apparently she knew Anne as a childhood friend, and then after the war, Anne Frank's father survived, as did this woman's mother, and they married. So just to watch, I don't know, the tightening that happened in Germany, or could happen anywhere, as they take away rights, and suddenly you can't, if you buck it, you're dead, that kind of stuff, and what can happen just matters. So I think it'll be quite interesting.
Very good. All right, I think we have done our business for today, and we will adjourn.